Your morning routine isn't making your life better, it's just making you feel like you tried. You wake up, follow the script, and walk away with that warm sense of moral superiority that comes from drinking water aggressively. It all feels very adult, very responsible, very Instagram approved. And yet, by noon, you're exhausted in a way that feels personal. The advice says mornings are about control, clarity, and momentum, which sounds great until you realize you're just speed-running obligations before your brain is fully online. I know this because I've been deeply committed to routines that look impressive and do absolutely nothing. If you want to stick around, like the video, subscribe. No pressure. We're all tired here. Because once you see what your mornings are actually reinforcing, it's hard to unsee it. Number 1. The hidden cost of wasted morning hours. You don't really notice it happening, which is part of why it works so well. The morning doesn't feel wasted. It feels earned. You're tired. You deserve rest. You'll start properly in a minute, and that minute quietly becomes the most expensive part of your day. Not because you slept too long or checked your phone once, but because those first hours are when your brain is oddly cooperative. It hasn't met the world yet. It hasn't been insulted by emails. It hasn't remembered all your unresolved problems at the same time. So what usually happens instead is a soft trick. Focus for comfort. Intention for familiarity. You give the sharpest part of your day to the least demanding activities, like scrolling, snoozing, or just lying there negotiating with reality. I've done this so consistently, it started to feel like a personality trait. And the thing is, one morning like that doesn't matter. Neither does a week. The cost shows up later, when everything feels harder than it should, and you can't explain why, which makes it tempting to look for bigger fixes, louder solutions, or more dramatic routines. Number 2. The real advantage behind high performers. The uncomfortable part is that this isn't a mystery, and it never really was. People love to attribute success to rare qualities because it's polite. Talent sounds nicer than repetition. Luck sounds kinder than timing. But if you pay attention, the pattern is boring. High performers aren't doing something magical. They're just awake when fewer people are. That's it. Early mornings aren't powerful because they're early. They're powerful because they're quiet. Fewer inputs, fewer interruptions, less performance. You can think a complete thought without being dragged into someone else's urgency, which is why successful people keep talking about it like it's a secret, even though it's mostly just logistics. I used to roll my eyes at this, mostly because waking up early felt like a personality I didn't want. But eventually you notice it's not about becoming a different person. It's about having a stretch of time where your brain isn't being rented out to everyone else yet. And once you notice that, it raises a more annoying question about what your brain is actually capable of during that window. Number 3. Why the first hour after waking matters. Your brain is weirdly efficient right after you wake up, which feels unfair because you're not. It processes faster, filters less, and hasn't fully loaded all your usual doubts yet. It's like a computer that hasn't opened 12 background tabs of anxiety. This is when thinking feels simpler. Not easier, simpler. One problem at a time. One idea without commentary. Most people hand this hour over immediately. Not dramatically, just casually. Notifications, news, messages. Low-effort stimulation that feels harmless because it's familiar. And to be clear, I'm not above this. I've donated entire mornings to my phone like it was a charity. The issue isn't that you're doing something wrong. It's that you're using your sharpest mental state on the least demanding tasks, then wondering why everything else feels like wading through mud later. Which would be fine if that trade didn't quietly shape how the rest of the day unfolds, starting with the smallest decision most people barely think about. Number 4. The snooze button trade-off. The snooze button feels harmless because it's framed as mercy. Just 9 more minutes. Just a small kindness to yourself. And technically, that's true. It is kind. It's just also incredibly specific about what kind of person it trains you to be. Snooze teaches you that the first decision of your day is a negotiation with discomfort, and discomfort usually wins. Nothing catastrophic happens when you hit it. That's the problem. You don't feel worse immediately. You just start the day slightly fragmented, slightly behind, slightly annoyed at yourself for reasons you can't quite articulate. It's a tiny vote for comfort over intention, cast repeatedly. I used to think the issue was discipline, like I was morally weak or something. Turns out, it's just patterning. You practice delaying action at the exact moment your day is supposed to begin. And once that's the opening move, everything after it tends to follow the same logic, which explains why even productive days can feel weirdly unsatisfying. Number 5. The competitive gap created each morning. What makes this uncomfortable isn't that someone else is doing better than you. It's that they're doing it earlier. While you're easing into the day, someone else has already finished the hardest thing they plan to do. Not because they're superior, but because they had fewer interruptions while doing it. That gap doesn't show up dramatically. No one posts about it in real time. It accumulates quietly. One workout done before excuses wake up. One focused hour before meetings hijack attention. One small win that sets the tone. I didn't notice this for years because I thought competition was about intensity. Turns out, it's mostly about timing. Progress happens before the day starts making demands. And once you see that, it reframes mornings from a self-care ritual into something closer to leverage. Number 6. Reclaiming the morning as a personal choice. This is where people expect the advice to get loud, and it really doesn't need to. Waking up earlier isn't about grinding or becoming impressive. It's about reclaiming a block of time that hasn't been claimed yet. No emails, no expectations, just you. And whatever you decide matters enough to face first. The actions don't have to be dramatic. Water, movement. Writing one clear intention instead of 10 vague ones. I tried overcomplicating this for years because simple felt suspicious. But consistency beats intensity in environments that don't fight back. And mornings don't fight back. They're neutral. They only become hostile once you hand them over. Do that long enough, and it stops feeling like a choice at all. Which is where things get more interesting. Number 7. Long-term consequences of morning decisions. At first, none of this feels like it matters. A morning is just a morning. Miss one, waste one, scroll through it, whatever. Life goes on. That's what makes the effect so easy to ignore. The consequences don't arrive loudly. They show up as a vague sense that time is moving faster than you expected, and you're not sure what you've been building. Mornings are quiet because they're repetitive. And repetition is powerful. In the most boring way possible. Do the same small thing long enough, and it stops being a habit and starts being a direction. I didn't notice this until I looked back and realized I'd been rehearsing the same day for years, just with different clothes. Eventually, you become one of two people. Not dramatically, gradually. The person who used those early hours to shape their attention. Or the person who kept giving them away and wondering why change felt so difficult. And the strange part is that both outcomes feel accidental while they're happening, even though they're built on the same choice made quietly every morning. At some point, it's worth admitting that mornings aren't special because they're disciplined or optimized or whatever word we're using this year. They're just the first place your attention goes before anyone else asks for it. Which sounds small. It is small. That's why it works. Or doesn't. If you're feeling slightly called out, that's normal. It's not guilt, it's recognition. The quiet kind. The kind where nothing needs to be fixed immediately, but something has definitely been noticed. I had that moment too, right before ignoring it for a few more months and then pretending I was surprised by the outcome. Very on brand. And honestly, none of this means your life falls apart if you keep wasting mornings. Most people do. Society continues. The sun still comes up. It just means your days keep feeling vaguely unfinished. Like you close the tab without reading the article, which is probably why the question eventually shifts. Not how to start your day better, but what you're actually building space for. What fills the quiet once you stop giving it away. Sometimes it's work. Sometimes it's thinking. Sometimes it's a strange hobby you didn't expect to care about that quietly changes how you see yourself over time. And that's a whole other conversation.